What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning into another video. Today I have a tutorial for you. So I just sat down one day and I kind of saw the idea for the picture, and I was like, okay, I have a picture that I somewhat want to do it with. We're gonna go ahead and open up Photoshop, and I'm gonna show you guys how to do this picture. It won't be super in-depth. I'm gonna do another video to be a Photoshop video itself, kind of in-depth, breaking down like how to work Photoshop a little bit better. Just from the people that I've talked to that do photography, do videography, they don't really know Photoshop as well. So I'm just kind of gonna be that little middle gap to show you like really quick tips and tricks to do Photoshop with. But let's get into the video. Alright, so I opened up Photoshop. All I did was I just opened up the actual picture itself. I just clicked on the picture on my computer and clicked open with Photoshop. You can either do it that way, or you can click Photoshop, open it up, click create new, and then click 4x5, 5x4, whatever you want to use for Instagram, 1x1, or you want to do pixel size, whatever. It's up to you, however you want to do it. You can just go online and look up what's the best Instagram size, or Facebook, or wherever you're posting it, YouTube. It's up to you. I just like to do it this way because it's a little bit quicker. It like skips a step in the middle. So this is the actual picture. So I'm not gonna add anything yet. I want to go ahead and edit the picture how I want it first, get it ready for the other layer to be overlaid. So I'm just gonna click on the layer, left click on it, and then click convert to smart object. Alright, so once it's converted to a smart object, all that really means is that I kind of have a little bit more control over the picture now. I can edit it a little bit better, I can crop it a little bit better, I can kind of detail in a little bit better than you can with a JPEG picture. I already edited it from RAW. I shoot 100% in RAW, but this was after I edited in Lightroom, brought it in here, so it is JPEG right now. I don't want to do any more editing to it. I kind of already did all that. It was a super bright day, super sunny, so there's not much more I could do to get rid of like the super highlighted sides on her face and stuff like that. But next, all you really need to do is you need to right click on it again and click rasterize layer. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if that's how you say it. I just kind of know what it does. All it does is it pretty much means now if I want to, I can slowly get rid of this layer piece by piece, is all it really means. So I'm gonna go ahead, and I already have all three things up here that I want to put in. This is the Polaroid outline, this is the clouds, and this is the birds, obviously. So I'm just gonna, you could easily just import these in from your other finder or your other little folder, or wherever you have them. If you don't, you can just do it my way and just click and drag, and it automatically puts it on there for you. Obviously this is way too small of a thing because it literally only covers her hand and that's it. So what you're gonna do, if you're on a Windows, you're gonna click Control and T, and it'll bring up a little border around your Polaroid picture. If you're on a Mac, obviously you click Command T, it does the exact same thing. But all these little borders mean is now you can move the picture wherever you want it to, and you can move each individual little dot around to do something different. I kind of already know how I want to do it. If you hold down shift while you pull away with one of these little markers, it will retain the same shape. It won't, if you do it without holding shift, it'll just kind of scrunch it down and it'll look funky. But if you hold down shift while you do it, it kind of retains the shape, so you don't have to worry about matching the shape size back up again. So I'm just gonna kind of move it. This one's obviously not gonna be exactly like the other one was. Polaroids are usually a little bit longer. At least the ones that I like are a little bit longer. I'm gonna try to put some of her leg on the Polaroid and then her foot hanging out, and I'll have this little part of her shoe hanging onto the Polaroid that I can get rid of it. I've said Polaroid a lot. So the PNG that I found has all of the little edges and borders around it, and I don't like that. So all I'm gonna do to get rid of it, I'm gonna double click on the layer itself. Once you double click on it, it's gonna pull up this little layer panel right here. Really the only things I ever use, some of the blending options, I use stroke, color overlay, and drop shadow. Other than that, I really don't use any one of these. Some people do. I don't like how most of them look. I kind of like to do a little different way than just throwing it on top of it. But I'm going to use this color overlay tab right here, and I already have it set to white. Obviously, if you needed to, you could just click on the little white and just pull it all the way to white. Click OK and click OK. So now it's gotten rid of all the little gray stuff around the edges of it, which looks a whole lot better, in my opinion anyway. You could leave them on there if you wanted to. I don't know why you would, but you can. So now we're going to do the same thing that we did with the picture. We're going to click the convert to smart object, and then once you convert it to the smart object, you do the same thing again, and you rasterize. I don't really know how to say rasterize, but I don't think that's right. So now we're just gonna go ahead, and if you hold down Z on your keyboard, it'll pull up this little magnifying glass, and you can click anywhere you want. Just click, and then just scroll to the left to zoom in, and then scroll to the right to zoom in, scroll to the left to zoom out. So I just want to zoom in a little bit and scroll down so I can kind of get where I'm able to get in a little bit more detail of what I'm looking at. I don't need to get rid of anything on top. Only thing I need to get rid of is the stuff on the bottom. So I'm still have that layer selected. Hit E on the keyboard and it'll pull up this big thing. Yours might be really small. You can use the bracket keys to go up and down in size, or you can just go in up here to this little tab and choose what size you want. That takes a little bit longer, so I just kind of like to do it the other way with the little brackets. Once you get used to using the brackets, it's super easy. So you just have to make sure you have the actual Polaroid selected. What I like to do is I'm going to lower the opacity of it so that way I can see where her leg is, and all you gotta do now is just click and drag. And if you want to, you can get in super close and make sure you just have like super good detail and just be super steady with it, so that way you're kind of following the line of her leg the whole time, or obviously whatever you have selected. So I pretty much have it filled in from what I can tell with the opacity, how it is, how I want it. So I'm just going to go back to the opacity, put it back to 100. And we're going to zoom back out. And boom. You already have her leg poking out of the Polaroid. You're pretty much 80% done with the picture. All you really need to do now is the same things. So I kind of noticed that day that there was like no clouds in the sky. So I just went on Google, typed in clouds PNG, and just found some that I liked. And you just do the same thing you did with the Polaroid. You just click and drag. Obviously these are too small for what I need right now. So I'm gonna hit Control T again, and it'll pull up the little squares again. So if you don't have anything, one of these selected, it'll pull up this little U-shaped thing, this little C shape, and you can rotate them. I don't really want them to be rotated because she's rotated, so the sky is kind of obviously not rotated. So I'm just gonna hold down shift and just make these as big as I think they need to be. So I already like how they look. The only thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the Polaroid, which is layer 1, and put it above the picture right here. The only problem now is her face has the clouds covering them, so you should know the drill by now. Left click on it or right click on it, convert to smart object. Once it's a smart object, right click on it again, rasterize the layer, and now I'm just going to zoom in again, holding Z on the keyboard, zoom in, and you can go as detailed as you want with this. I'm not going to be super detailed with it just for the tutorial version of this. I was super detailed with the other picture, but now you literally just click and move the mouse to get rid of the clouds on her face. You obviously can feather this a little bit. I have my hardness set to 100%. If I set it down to like 30, it'll kind of give me like a different little feathering object to it. But just for the sake of the video, I'm just gonna have it set to 100%. You can obviously play around with all these. I'll kind of go into a little bit more depth of like what the featherness is, what the hardness is, all that kind of stuff on the other video. Just try to do as best as you can with all the big stuff. Make sure there's none of it there. Zoom back out. And boom. I like how it's looking already. The only thing I think it needed was just like one little bitty touch. So I found this, these birds. I did the exact same thing, just went on Google, typed in birds flying PNG. Because if you type in birds PNG, it's going to give you a bunch of birds that are just sitting there. You're welcome, helped you out. So you do the same thing, just click, drag them into the other layer, just throw them on top, and now there's a flock of birds in your picture. So we're going to do the same thing. It's super simple. It's just a repetitive process over and over again. All that Photoshop really is. You just hit Control T again. It's going to bring up these little things. Hold down Shift so the birds don't look like flying mustaches. Take them, move them where you want them. Now I'm going to take this one and put it in front of the Polaroid itself, just because I want some of the birds itself to be on the Polaroid. So I'm just going to move them over a little bit until I get them where I want them. I want one of the birds to be actually poked out on the Polaroid, make it look like they're flying through the Polaroid picture itself. So I kind of like how this one is right here. This one's kind of on the pole, this one's on there itself. So we're just going to do the same thing again because there's too many birds. I didn't really want that many birds, so we're just going to convert it to a smart object one more time. Right click again, rasterize the layer. We're going to click E. Definitely get rid of the one on her face. I don't like this one, it looks a little weird. There's too many in this bundle right here. This one looks like a Longhorn logo. I'm trying to spread them out some, so I don't want one right here. I don't really like this one, he's kind of far away from the crowd. This one will do, he's fine. I might take the whole layer, click V, click on the layer, and move it up some with your arrow keys. You can just play with all these things, get them exactly how you want them. Obviously, if I wanted to, I could edit some more. I could go in, edit the curves of it. If I wanted to be more of a vintage looking photo, I could go in and do that. It really depends on how I want to do it. I can make the brightness go down a little bit on it, make it look more like an actual Polaroid, bring the highlights down, just kind of play around with it, see what I want to do with it. I kind of like how it already is. It kind of flows with the style of the photo shoot that we went with. All the other photos look like this, so I was just going to kind of leave it like this. But you can kind of do however you want to do. It's entirely up to you. This was just a tutorial to show you how to work the rasterizing, the converting to smart object layers, kind of erasing stuff. I might go back in on these clouds, and there's one little spot of these clouds that's on this side of the pole. I want them all on that side. Boom. Now it looks like the clouds are 100% in the background. Looks like they were there from the start. The sun's already beaming on the clouds the same direction as she's getting the sun on her, which is super important to look at because people will point you out on that, trust me. All of the sun is coming from this side, and on the picture of her, all the sun's coming from this side. So I had to make sure that that was the right photo I needed to get selected. Now for the easiest part, you're just gonna click on this for the first layer of her, the actual picture. Hold down the Alt key and pull up. So now you have just a copy of just the picture of her. That's the only thing you have a copy of. Now this little circle down here, it brings up all kinds of different stuff. So all you're gonna do, there's a black and white one right here. And this little square right here pretty much means you want the layer underneath to be black and white, and that's it. Alright, so now the little thing doesn't have the line through it. It means just the black and white will be affecting the layer underneath, just our copy layer. It's not affecting any other layer on the whole thing. If it has a little line through, that means it's affecting everything underneath it. So I want to just click on our actual first layer, the one that's got color on it, bring it on top. Once it's got the little whole two lines on me, it means it's above it. I want to take it so it's already rasterized, so I'm just going to hit E, and I'm going to hit the right bracket key to make my actual bubble bigger, and then just click on it and just get rid of everything on the outside of your Polaroid picture. Get super close, and you can obviously spend more time going through and adding and getting rid of the details, all the stuff that's colored. Most people honestly and probably won't notice. You'll be the only one notice, but you will notice. It will make a huge difference to you whenever you're sitting down and doing it. But we just zoom back out, and that's it. That's the picture. It was super easy. All it really was just doing stuff over and over again. It was the same 3-4 things. That's all Photoshop really is just keep doing stuff over and over again until you get it. This was obviously a super quick, not too in-depth version. I'm gonna do an actual Photoshop tutorial, just kind of breaking down what I know, how I use Photoshop. This was just kind of how I use it. Obviously there's other ways to use it, but this is just how I think it's the easiest way. I'm not too fond of doing stuff the hard way. But I hope you liked the tutorial. It was probably one of my favorite pictures I've edited so far. I've done a few of them, but this one was really good. Stay tuned for the next one. There's gonna be more tutorials. I haven't played a lot of video games lately, but I will be posting tutorials and just some kind of daily updates as well. I hope you guys like it. Leave a comment. Make sure you hit that little red button, hit the little thumbs up button, and now you can hit the little bell with a little boom booms next to it, so that way you can make sure every time I upload, you'll get a notification on your phone about it. So thank you. Tune in on the next one. Peace out.